In 1968, inside a government research lab in Maryland, scientist John B. Calhoun built what he believed would become a perfect society. He called it Universe 25. It was paradise for mice. 8 mice were placed inside, 4 males, 4 females. They had unlimited food, unlimited water, perfect temperature, clean living spaces, no predators, no disease, no hunger, no threat of any kind. Everything a living creature could possibly need was provided. Nearly 5 years later, every single mouse was dead. Not one death could be explained by infection, injury, or starvation. The colony had collapsed from something far more difficult to diagnose. Calhoun had spent more than 2 decades studying overcrowding and social behavior. Before Universe 25, he had already run 24 similar experiments with rats and mice. Different layouts, different environments, different conditions. But the outcome always drifted toward the same conclusion. At first, the population exploded. Then social behavior began to fracture. Then reproduction stopped. Then the society died. Universe 25 was designed to be the definitive version. The perfect environment where no external hardship could interfere with survival. The enclosure was a carefully engineered utopia, a 9-foot square habitat with stacked nesting compartments connected by ramps and tunnels. Food dispensers never emptied. Water never stopped flowing. The space was capable of supporting nearly 4,000 mice comfortably. On day 1, Calhoun sealed the enclosure and began observing. For the first several months, the colony appeared stable. The mice explored their surroundings, formed territories, and adapted to the environment. Then reproduction began. The population doubled roughly every 55 days. Everything seemed successful. By day 315, more than 600 mice occupied the enclosure. That was the turning point. In the wild, excess population naturally spreads outward. Younger mice leave crowded territory and establish new social structures elsewhere. Inside Universe 25, there was nowhere else to go. No frontier, no expansion, no new role to grow into. The younger males, unable to establish territory or social purpose, began gathering in the center of the enclosure. They became passive, detached, and strangely indifferent. When attacked, many would not defend themselves. They simply absorbed the violence and moved away. At the same time, another group emerged at the opposite extreme. Hyper-aggressive males began attacking indiscriminately. They disrupted nests, abandoned normal mating rituals, and lashed out without clear purpose. Violence no longer served survival or hierarchy. It became chaotic and meaningless. Then the females began to withdraw. Many isolated themselves in the upper nesting compartments, avoiding interaction entirely. Some stopped reproducing. Others abandoned maternal behavior altogether. As social order deteriorated, even feeding patterns became irrational. Although food was available everywhere, the mice crowded obsessively around specific feeding stations while identical stations remained unused. The need for social clustering had overridden practical behavior. The breakdown accelerated. Mothers became unable to protect and raise their young under constant stress. Many abandoned their pups. Some lost recognition of their offspring entirely. In the worst cases, mothers attacked or consumed their own young. Infant survival rates collapsed. The next generation grew up without stable social modeling. They had never observed healthy territorial behavior, parenting, or courtship. And something unprecedented appeared. A group of mice Calhoun later called the beautiful ones. These mice did not fight. They did not mate. They did not compete. They spent nearly all their time eating, sleeping, and grooming themselves. Their fur remained immaculate because they avoided conflict completely. Physically, they looked healthier than any mice in the colony. Socially, they were empty. They showed no interest in reproduction, hierarchy, or interaction. They had withdrawn entirely from the behavioral patterns necessary for the survival of the species. By day 560, the population reached its peak, approximately 2,200 mice. It never recovered from there. The final successful birth occurred on day 920. After that, no new offspring were produced. The colony slowly aged toward extinction. The aggressive mice continued fighting without purpose. The isolated females remained withdrawn. The beautiful ones continued grooming themselves in silence. And one by one, the inhabitants of Universe 25 died. On May 23, 1973, the last mouse was found dead. Calhoun later wrote that the colony experienced 2 deaths. The first was the death of purpose. The second was the death of the body. The first came long before the second. When the experiment became public, many interpreted it as a warning about comfort itself, the idea that abundance and ease inevitably destroy societies. But Calhoun's actual conclusion was more specific and far more unsettling. He argued that collapse begins when individuals can no longer find meaningful roles within a society. The problem was not unlimited resources. The problem was social stagnation. Too many individuals existed without purpose, responsibility, challenge, or identity. The structure that gave behavior meaning disappeared. The males had nothing left to build or defend. The females had no stable social system to support motherhood. The young inherited a world where every role already seemed occupied or meaningless. The society did not die because life became easy. It died because life stopped feeling necessary. And despite how often Universe 25 is used as a symbol of doom, Calhoun himself was not pessimistic. He spent the remainder of his career searching for solutions. He believed human beings possessed one advantage the mice did not: the ability to create new forms of meaning. He argued that as physical space becomes limited, societies must expand into conceptual space. New ideas, new responsibilities, new systems of contribution, new reasons for people to matter. He called this process ideational generativity, a complicated phrase for a simple truth. Civilizations survive when people continue creating meaningful roles for one another. Universe 25 still remains one of the most haunting behavioral experiments ever conducted. A perfect paradise. Unlimited resources, no predators, no disease. 8 mice placed into a world designed to remove suffering completely. And yet, the colony collapsed anyway. Because survival alone was never enough. The mice lost the reason to participate in life itself. They did not die from hunger. They died from the absence of purpose. And unlike the mice inside Universe 25, we still have the ability to decide what comes next.